Pantry Studio production.
The following may contain strong language and deals with adult themes. Listener discretion is advised.
9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
I will be the last to fall. I won't shed a tear for them to see. And I won't have your name to call. 'Cause I will be the last to fall.
With over 24% of the 1.9 billion square acres in America alone, the mountains that so many people call home are also host to some of the most incredible mysteries in the world. The missing, the murdered, strange creatures, unexplained lights, and sightings of unidentified objects. These stories may be strange, they may be sad, they may be odd, but they are mysterious. These are the Mountain Mysteries Gatherings. And now, live from the Pantry Studio, broadcast to all time zones around the world, with listeners of the podcast in the United States, Canada, Germany, Norway, India, the United Kingdom, and more. These are the Mountain Mysteries Gatherings. Now, your host, Chris Sloan.
Well, I hope that you all are having a good evening, and thanks a lot for being with us here on the Mountain Mysteries. I am Chris Sloan, your host, and we've got a couple of great podcast episodes lined up for you that's available on Spotify and where podcasts are found. And, of course, don't forget to check us out at the home of the Mountain Mysteries. That's www.themountainmysteriespodcast.com. Support us on Patreon. You'll get early commercial-free episodes before anybody else, and you've got access to a lot of other great things, too. If you were watching earlier, and I am going a little bit off script, which I do all the time on gatherings, but if you were watching a little bit earlier, you noticed in the ticker banner down there, which right now it says live at 8 p.m. tonight, a walk to nowhere or whatever. We had this caption that was up, and I'll be happy to pull that up again for you. Coming soon. Just about the time you think that it's gone away and we're not going to talk about it anymore. Oh, hell no. I will never stop about this. Right about the time you think that I go away with it, they pull you back in. Because you see, the Mountain Mysteries was started and endures because of the memory of that girl, April Pennington. 30 years it's been. And I don't care if we have to go another 30 if I live that long. I have said it before and I'll say it again. The people that we love never really leave us, as long as we remember them in our heart and in our souls. April, Tim, Dwayne, Muriel, the list goes on, and there's more people. There's more people. Candy Green Gonzalez. As far as I know, nobody still knows where she's at or what happened to her. Yeah, we all talk. We all got ideas. We all think this could have happened or that could have happened. I don't know. I really don't know. And that's the stink of it all. We know Dwayne passed away. Many of us believe it was not an accident, that it was willful, perhaps premeditated, We think the same thing with April. Many of us. And trust me when I tell you, I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I don't think there's lizard people in the White House. I don't think that. Yeah, are there UFOs? Yeah, probably. Because, like my dad said, if you listen to that episode, the one with the painful UFO train incident, I started it out by recalling a memory when I was 13 or 14. My dad and I were sitting out on a picnic bench at night, and I asked him if he believed in that kind of thing, and I was expecting a smart ass answer. And what I got really kind of shocked me, but it also proved to me that he had an open mind. He said, well, if there's not such a thing, then it seems like a awful waste of a whole lot of space. I'll never forget that, because he went completely in the other direction than what I thought he was going to go. It just completely threw me off kilter. But yeah, do I believe in that kind of thing? I certainly think it's possible. I really do. Yeah, I'm trying to mute the mic if I have a fit with allergies or whatever, which does happen. The joy and the benefits of getting older, right? I don't know exactly what happened to Candy Green Gonzalez, but I do know this from what I've read, and I've not spoken with anybody, like any of her family members or anything like that. I've not spoken with any of these people, but I do believe that there are a lot of people out there that want to know, a lot of people that need to know, and a lot of people that have to know, because there's a lot of people out there that love her. There's a lot of people out there that miss her, that want her home. I get that. When I first thought up the title for this podcast, The Mountain Mysteries, I thought, well, that's catchy. It's 3 words. It's to the point. People will remember it, we hope, and they have. But damn, I never knew that this went so deep. It's like going down the rabbit hole. You can lose yourself in this. And that's okay. Some things are worth getting lost over. If you can find some piece of truth, if you can find some semblance of justice or respect, because closure is an overused word. It is. So, yes, coming soon, we are going to be revisiting that case of April. She deserves that. And I will keep on going until we find out. I've got my suspicions, God, do I have. Until we find out exactly who it was that took this girl's life. Beautiful, sweet, feisty as hell, but sweet. And maybe most of all, a friend. None of them deserves that. Not April, not Tim, not Dwayne. Nobody deserves that. And it's also in my sincere belief that nobody has that right to take another person's life. They don't. Unless it's in defense of your child, yourself, your family. But I mean, to get mad and to kill somebody over what I believe was jealousy and jealousy. Who the hell has that right? Have I ever been jealous? Oh, you bet you. Did I ever take a life over it? Oh, you bet you not. I just was not brought up that way. And maybe that's one of the things that irks me so much, because I can't figure out why somebody is thinking like that the way that they did. So that episode is coming soon. That's all I can really say about it right now. I do have a very specific goal in what direction I want this thing to go in. I have talked to Arrow at some very, very short length about this. But he and I are going to be getting together really soon and discussing this in a little more detail, because he does a good portion of the writing. He does a lot of the research. He was heavily involved with April's celebration of life. He knows what this means to me, to her mother, to her family. He met a great many of them. And he cares just as deeply about it as we do. A big hi from Tony to Tony from Winchester watching this evening. And he's in the chat. I know we've got several watching. If you want to pop in the chat and say hi, I'd love to give you a hi back. And I am kind of checking it back, back and forth here and there. So the episode that's going to drop tonight, tomorrow, whatever you want to call it, it's called A Walk to Nowhere. It can seemingly happen at any place, anytime, anywhere. In America, Europe, Ireland, England, well, I guess that's Europe. But just about anywhere. Have you ever come across something that you just got to sit back and scratch your head on? Because it makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. It's crazy. You sit back and you look at it and you're like, where the hell did that come from? What we're talking about, and this was all Arrow's idea. I've got to give props where props are due. Stairs out in the middle of a forest where seemingly nothing else is around except trees, dirt, squirrels, mountain lions, whatever roams in the forest, deer, where these things are, you come up on something and there's a set of stairs that go to nowhere. Now, my logical brain says, well, it was probably a part of a building at some point, a building that maybe was destroyed by fire, left behind by settlers over 100 years ago. Who knows? As big and as old as the mountains on the North American continent or Europe are, they're not really that old when you sit back and consider the grand scheme of things and how long this planet's been around. A lot of these hills were probably formed by volcanoes or God knows what, or at some point or another, or just, I don't know how hills form. I guess it's just sediment and time and a buildup of pressure, and there you go. You've got a couple of hills, and then those hills with more time become mountains. I don't know. But anyways, yeah, possibly. But here's the thing. One would think that over the course of time, if these stairs were stairs that came from, let's say, a house or a building of some kind of a settlement, that they would be buried deeper down than what they are. And they certainly wouldn't have things like carpeting or be pristine. This is all in the podcast. You'll hear about it. These are mountainous stairs that go to nowhere that have been discovered by people. Now, if it were somebody that was loving or looking for an attention or something of that nature, I'd probably write it off and say, well, there you go. That's probably, pardon the language, if the kids are close by, close their ears, please. But it's probably attention whores. People who love attention. Oh, there's plenty of those out there. You bet. They're everywhere. But there's a few of us out there that would rather keep that attention away from ourselves. I want my attention and the attention of the people that listen to this podcast on the stories and the people that are involved in them. But why is it that these stairs appear to be pristine? Why is it that they appeared that they were just put there? Why is it, and this is a big one, that let's say that you camp out, you've seen these stairs, and you camp out maybe, whatever, a football field away from about 100 yards or maybe a little more, whatever. And you get up the next morning and you tell your wife, your girlfriend, your boyfriend, your husband, whatever, or some buddies, hey, you got to go check these stairs out I saw last night. And you go over there, and they're not there now. Oh, no. They've moved a half a mile somewhere else. Is Lowe's Home Improvement doing something that we don't know about? I sincerely doubt it. That is completely illogical. To quote Spock. That is making no sense whatsoever. And then the next day they move somewhere else, and you see the same stairs somewhere else. Only this time it's the same design, it's the same shape. But they're completely out of context. Now, what does context mean? Well, context means, you walk into a home, you see stairs, they're attached to a wall, or maybe they're the spiral staircase that isn't attached, but anyways, it leads to something that you can visibly see, a landing on the second floor, or downstairs into the sunroom or the living or whatever. You get the idea. That's in context. It makes sense to see those stairs there. Stairs are what we use to get from one level to the other or down. But these, well, seemingly they end and they go to nowhere. There's only one other case I know where stairs are out of context, yet in context. In other words, they serve no purpose, but they're in a house. They're attached to something. That would be the Winchester Mystery House, and that would be in California. Yeah, Sarah Winchester, late 1800s. Heir to the Winchester fortune. You remember her, or you've heard of her, I'm sure. Everybody's heard of the Winchester Repeating Firearms Company. Oh, yeah. It was said that the spirits of the Winchester house came to haunt Sarah because they were pissed off because they themselves got killed by the Winchester repeating rifle. It's the gun that won the West, so they said. So she had this thing built to confuse the bad spirits. And the good spirits allegedly told her where to build what and how. And she followed them religiously. She did exactly what they said, had crews working around the clock. But anyways, these stairs are in context, but they're out of context. They make no sense because they go to nowhere. They may go to a wall without a door or straight up to the ceiling. You can't go nowhere after that. But the ones we're talking about are out in the middle of a forest. We're out in the middle of, I call it a forest. You can call it whatever you want to. And seemingly, they're quite away from hiking trails. Theories about this thing involve, or include, I should say, some people think that, well, this is what the aliens use to abduct people. It leads to a portal. I don't know, maybe. Does seem a little bit far-fetched, but maybe. Some people say, well, this is an ancient Indian burial ground, and it's cursed. If you walk on these stairs, bad things will happen to you. Maybe. And other people like me have no damned explanation for it whatsoever. We know they're real. We've seen them. Seen pictures of it. Of course, Photoshop. Yeah, I know that. But still, given the benefit of the doubt, I mean, who the hell is going to take the time to Photoshop a set of stairs out in the wood and fabricate such a far-fetched story that even Steven Spielberg or George Lucas would say, what? Makes no sense. And it doesn't. Unless you add in the theory about aliens and portals and abductions and abductees and all that kind of stuff. Then at some point, maybe it does make sense if you go that route. I don't know. So where are these things coming from? I'm interested in theories. I'd love to hear about it. And you can email those theories. I'd love to read them while we do gatherings or even include them in the podcast. You can do that at themountainmysteriespodcast.com. Send us an email. Right down at the bottom, click contact us. There it is. It'll pop right up for you. Cakewalk, 1, 2, 3. Now, another thing that interested or does interest me about these stairs. Arrow found a case in which, and again, this is in the podcast. Arrow found a case in which there was actually pristine white carpeting on the stairs. Looked like somebody had taken it straight out of their house and put it straight into the woods. Well, okay. Why? How can anything stay pristine, clean, pretty, and white in a forest? We're talking about no animal waste, no animals being on them. And I'm sorry, and I'm not, but if I were a deer, per se, I'd probably want to check these things out. Walk on them, see what this white fuzzy stuff is. Maybe there's an apple somewhere up there. I'm going to go looking because I'm an animal. I'm a deer. I'm hungry. No, he said it's almost, they were described as like they were in a bubble and nobody around. But yet, as soon as you stepped inside that bubble and you started walking up them stairs, you got a really bad feeling that you should be somewhere else. And oh, my, you probably should be. That's not a good feeling to have. When your gut is screaming at you saying, this is not good, get to be somewhere else before you get dead. And there has been instances in which people have been hurt on these things. This is all in that podcast that you're going to listen to tonight. The name of the episode is A Walk to Nowhere. You notice I named the episodes the same thing I name each episode of The Gathering, so you'll know what to look for. It'll be released a little bit after midnight tonight, but it's going to be a pretty darn good one. And it's interesting and it's creepy. But also, keep in mind, this could very well be one of those urban legends, one of those I hate to use the word old wives' tale because, typically when I run across wives, they're griping about their husbands. So I'd rather say an old husband's tale. It could be one of those things. I don't know, but I'd love to hear your response on it. It'll take about a half hour of your time, and a half an hour or something like that. And like I said before, you can get it right there on Spotify. Excuse me. Before I get into what's coming up next week, which I really want everybody to listen to, this Delta strain of COVID, I had a friend that passed away from it. Use caution, folks. I respect your right to wear a mask, not wear a mask, whatever it is. I can tell you in my offices right now, it's mandated by the company I work with that anybody that comes in needs to be wearing a face mask, and that's to protect the managers, that's to protect other folks, and I do enforce that because I do believe that it can help. But I also respect everybody's right to either wear one or not wear one. That's entirely up to you. But I know that this thing is real, so please take caution and protect yourselves. I don't believe in government mandates, just so you know. I think the government should be there to defend and protect and uphold and help to support the people who cannot, people who are of special needs, people who have a disability, people who need help. I don't want to see a single human being go hungry. I don't want to see a single human being that's fighting that fight have to deal with homelessness or something like that. So I'm all for that. I got off last week on people that could work, that won't, that would rather sit back and draw unemployment. And, there's flip sides of that coin. They're getting more on unemployment. What about when that money runs out and who's paying for it to start with? Well, that would be everybody that's out there working. But for the people that sincerely need that, yeah, I'd rather see that than anybody go hungry. Again, so it's brought up. So please use caution. The social distancing thing doesn't hurt a soul. I've never been within 15 foot of a person that couldn't hear me talking just like I am right now. Yeah, 15 feet. Of course, I got a big mouth. I get that, but I don't have to be super close to somebody and breathing in their face. So, we got away from some of the things that we had been doing on the Mountain Mysteries, and I told Arrow, he actually came in one day and he said, "What direction do you really want us to go in?" I said, "The people. The people. The stairs to nowhere, that's kind of interesting." And you'll hear some people in the podcast that had these stories, and these are reputable people. They work for search and rescue squads, law enforcement. These people typically don't make stuff up because they are not attention getters. These are the people that these are the true heroes. Law enforcement, medical personnel. These people come forth and said this, and they're like, why are there stairs over here next to Gobbler's Knob, or whatever you want to call it? I don't know. Why are there stairs in the middle of nowhere in a forest? What are you talking about? Yeah, there's stairs out there. They go out there, they look, and it was here yesterday. Well, they hike on up the trail a little bit, and there's another set. Actually, it's the same set. They've been moved. Must have had Dewey, Cheatham, and Howe Moving Company come in and do that. I don't know. But anyways, yeah, you got those things going on, and it is weird. So check out that episode tonight. I hope that you guys enjoy it. As always, I hope that you'll give us 5 stars. But I told Arrow I wanted to get back to the people. So he had this idea. And granted, it's a piece away from where the Mountain Mysteries is based. California. But man, is it a slobber knocker. It's a good one. It has to do, and maybe some of you have heard of her, maybe not, but Cynthia Sitabaca. She was the grandmother who killed her son-in-law, if I recall right. Now, what makes this particular case so interesting, and this is coming up next Friday, not tomorrow, but next Friday, but it's called All in the Family. Play on words, I know, but to me it seemed to fit. Well, anyways, this lady loses her husband a year later, has a stroke, moves in what they call a granny flat. A granny flat is like a little apartment attached to a house. And it's something nice. It's comfortable. It's small. This house cost an obvious fortune, but she moves into this house and through instances of alleged abuse. One day, that one day was February 11th, 2014, I think. She breaks out a 5-shot revolver and shoots her son-in-law. She fires 15 rounds total. 12 of them go into him. Well, what do you know about that? To make it better, and I'm sorry, it's not a laughing matter, but I'm like, it was on her 63rd birthday that she does this. So she goes and she kills this guy, her son-in-law, the father of her grandchildren, the husband of her daughter. 63rd birthday, she goes out after that, has breakfast, has her a grand slam at Denny's, proceeds to go on to a casino, spends 2 or 3 hours there gambling, until that particular township, and I'm sorry I can't recall its name right now, it's in the podcast, but until the finest of the finest, the detectives show up, take her into custody for questioning, because when they find out that her son-in-law is dead, when his family finds out, everybody flocks to the house, of course, with questions. What the hell's going on? What happened? Who did this? Why did they do this? Motive means opportunity, symbol 3 that we always have in murder cases. Anyways, everybody shows up except bada bing, Cynthia Sitabaca. Where is Mrs. Sitabaca? Where are you at? We have questions for you. So they go get her. I'm going to scoop back from this camera a bit. So anyways, they go find her at the casino, right? And she's in there having the queen's time. She's just having a whole bunch of fun, bushel and a peck worth. Now they take her into custody, and at first she denies it. Then, after they ask, what did you think about this guy? Her response was this. Hang on, I'm going to try to get the face right. That was her response twice. So the lady, the female detective, who is a very capable law enforcement officer, looks at her and says, so I'm taking it that you didn't like him. Well, of course not. She hated this guy. And then she goes on to say, I couldn't stand him. He abused me. He abused my grandchildren. He abused my daughter. He sprayed me with a water hose for smoking outside on the patio. Well, the more I'm watching this chick, the more I'm like, okay. So you killed a guy for spraying you with a water hose? Well, no. He didn't kill her for spraying her, or she didn't kill him for spraying her with a water hose. She killed him because that morning they were preparing to go to her granddaughter's spelling bee. Gives you an idea on the age of the granddaughter. Very young, little kid. The husband slash father slash son-in-law that she's getting ready to pump 12 rounds into looks at her and says, you're not going like that. You look ghetto as hell. You look like the ghetto grandma. Well, she calmly turns, walks out, goes to her granny flat. From her granny flat, exits the flat, goes to the car, gets the gun. It's a 5-shot revolver, 38. She goes in, catches him walking back from the laundry room, wherever the hell that's at, and puts 5 in him. And, of course, he's trying to drag himself into the house. Well, that's not enough. She goes back to the car and gets more bullets. at some point in rounds 1, 2, or 3, she puts 3 into the kitchen wall, and all the rest of them go in to the gentleman laying in the kitchen floor. Well, now this particular town in California, let's be clear, this is not the kind of place where you would hear gunshots going off. Not typically. This is the kind of place where a whole lot of nothing happens every day. It's peaceful. It's quiet. The kind of place you'd want to live in. Most of us. Well, 911's not used to this. They start getting flooded with calls. Caller 1, caller 2, 3, 4. Finally, the 5th caller, who is, in fact, himself a law enforcement officer. He's a cop. So, he calls and he says, look, I'm telling you, those are gunshots. Everybody else saying the same thing, of course. Sound like gunshots, sound like gunshots. Oh my God, what are we going to do? It sounds like gunshots. All hell is breaking loose. 911 operator needs a Valium and probably a half a fifth of Jack Daniels by the time this damn thing's over. So cops finally show up, but they can't tell where it's coming from. This is a gated community that these people live in. They've got one way in, one way out, and cul-de-sacs everywhere. So sound bounces like you're standing in a breezeway at an apartment complex. You can hear a gnat fart 50 yards away. So where are these sounds coming from? Well, they finally found it. The little telltale hole in the glass window of the patio entrance and exit gave it away, I suppose. Not to mention the clothing with blood everywhere, all around the entire property. I mean, it looked like Jigsaw got there and just had a field day. Cops walk in. She's already gone. Remember, she went to have that grand slam at Denny's, and then she's gonna go roll the polies at the casino. She's gonna go bet on the ponies or roll the dice or whatever the hell it is that she's doing. And they noticed real quick. Well, everybody's here except Miss Sudabaka. Let me throw in another twist. We get to the point here that we find out that it was about a year earlier, right after her husband had passed away, rest his soul, that she had a stroke. Many people, including some medical professionals, said that she never did fully recover from that stroke. A stroke can have sincerely dire consequences on the brain. We know this. It can change behavior. It can change outlook. It can change personality. It can change everything, let alone the physical limitations that it can oppose. So let's keep that in mind too. Well, it keeps getting deeper and deeper. It's that rabbit hole, I'm telling you. By the time we get done with this episode, you're not going to know which way to look. At first, I thought it's real cut and dry. It's plain and simple. This woman killed a guy. And like I've always said, we don't have the right to take another person's life unless it's in defense of ourselves or family. Well, this comes into play because if this guy was abusing her daughter, and her grandkids, and what did we say? I don't think, in my personal opinion, that we have the right to murder anybody unless it's in defense of ourselves or family. But this was a little bit different. Here's what makes it different. Some years before, about 5 years as a matter of fact, she had purchased this gun, and she had blatantly told somebody, I don't trust him. I'm going to be ready to kill him. And then what she does when she finds out in the police station, hello, ladies and gentlemen, as if she didn't already know, that he was dead, well, that will make your blood run cold, and you will actually hear her say that. That's coming next week on the Mountain Mysteries podcast. The title of that episode, All in the Family. It is almost in post-production right now. We have 3 stages when we do these episodes. We have pre-production, which is the writing of the episodes, the gathering of interviews, evidence, etc., me taking several deep breaths, and maybe hitting that keg once or twice. Production is actually sitting down and doing it, finding the right feel, the right everything. And then post-production is when we polish it and make the little tiny quiet parts sound bold like everything else. So you're not having to sit there and turn your radio up and down. Oh yes, we take great efforts. I told you at the beginning of this thing, I would do everything I can to make sure that we deliver something to you that is worth listening to, something that will not drive you batty. These things that I'm doing right now probably drive some of you batty. I'm sorry, but I get a little bit up there on the pedestal and the soapbox. And when I get going with these things, and when I start talking about these things, and here's why, I do get carried away. I get it. There was a part of this videotape confessional in which her daughter, the gentleman's husband, or sorry, wife, walks in and loses it. Mom, why did you do this? Mom, why did you? You get the idea. That's bad enough. No, but then her granddaughter walks in. This little kid. And Sita Baca looks at her granddaughter and says, come here and kiss me. It's my birthday. It's my birthday. And the little girl says, how can I kiss you when you killed my dad? And point goes to the prosecution. So how does this end up in trial? I mean, what way does this go? Listen to it and find out. Because I want you to stew on this for a little bit and think, what would you do? What would you do if you were Sita Baca? Or what would you do if you were these people that had to suffer this nightmare? Which way would you vote if you were sitting on the jury? And you're hearing all this and you're like, so I guess you could say in that particular episode, which is our 24th, by the way, I'm putting you in the jury box. And I'd love to hear what you would do. I'd love to hear your thoughts on that. Guilty? Not guilty. And the prosecutor, who was a turnkey guy, a super guy, by what I could find, had a very valid opinion on this, I think. Because if we start being flexible with laws and rules for any one individual, the next thing you know, it all goes to hell in a handcart. The law is the law. And we, as responsible citizens and people, should try to uphold it to keep everything else together. Because if you let one thing slide like that, well, that's when there starts to be problems. So, I don't know why I got that up there. Live at 8 p.m. Hell, it's already 38 minutes after 8 o'clock. Kept you guys on here for a while tonight. I would love it if you could to find it in your hearts to support us on Patreon. You'll get early access to commercial-free episodes. And yes, they are coming. We've got sponsors looking at us, which I'm blessed to have and I'm very grateful to have. It helps us pay the bills, but they will never be at the expense of the stories of these people. But apparently we're doing something right somewhere. I'd like to think so. I hope so. So tonight, we get to take a walk to nowhere. And next week, well, we're just going to keep it all in the family. And then after that, coming soon, I'm not going to lie, this is going to be a tough one. This is going to be a tough one to hear, a tough one to produce, because there is a reason why I have named that particular episode coming Shattered Dreams. It is about April Pennington and the updates that we have, what we know now versus what we thought we knew then. There's been some changes. There's been some things happen. Sharon will be on that episode, I hope. Stacy Underwood Gullett will be there. Stacy is the voice of April. Like I said, I'm a storyteller. That's all I do. But I loved April, and I still love her today. She was a dear friend. And she still is. It's amazing how many lives she has changed, even though she has been gone for 30 years. You'll learn more about that, too. She's been gone for 30 years, and she's still making a positive impact on people. I only hope that my legacy, if I have one, would be something that people could benefit from. half as much. It's not a surprise so many people still love her so much. And the thing that gets me about that is whoever it was that took her life. I'm not going to say names, but I got an idea of who you are. And there's more than one of you, I know. That is something that you can never take away from her. And you'll never take away from her family. That is something that you have to live with for the rest of your pathetic life. And if I can help you do it behind bars, I'd be happy to. So, with that being said, you got an idea of what's going on behind the scenes. All these things are coming up. And we are looking at doing another Patreon event in October. My daughter and her little creative hamster on the wheel that turns in her head, and she is quite creative, has thought about doing something like some live readings or something like that for the kids and having a safe trick or treat where kids can stop by. We read some scary stories and they can, in a very safe environment. We were looking at maybe the library or something like that in Prestonsburg or Paintsville, if we could, or wherever. And we're going to have a lot of really cool nums, which is candy, Reese's, and the stuff that kids like. I'm not going to get them that 3-cent 2-pack of, what are they called, sweet tarts. No, we're going to have the good Kush, the good stuff, Snickers, and all that kind of stuff, and Kit Kats and cool stuff like that. But they will be safe. I'll see to that. And it's something for the parents to bring the kids to that everybody can enjoy. And guess who they're going to stick reading the books? Hello, thank you. And I'm cool with that. It always used to be a wish of my mother, rest her soul, that I would go to the library and read books to kids. And I think it's a wonderful idea. I think it's a great thing. Kids have such beautiful imaginations. They're awesome. And the kids today, once they hit 6 or 7, they're smarter than I'll ever be. That's a fact. So we feel that coming too. And I really do hope that you guys will check us out again on Spotify and wherever podcasts are found. Check out our website. Check out the cool, what Allie calls it merch. T-shirts, ball caps, mugs, the travelers, and all that stuff. We even got onesies for babies now. I'm not kidding you. It's really pretty cool, though. It's a great way to support the Mountain Mysteries, to keep these stories coming. Because I'm telling you, I've seen the difference that it makes in people's lives. And we're not the know-all, end-all, and be-all, but I'm telling you right now, when you don't forget them, when you respect the family and the individual or individuals enough to bring them up again and put it out there, because there are people right now for the first time each day that are finding out who April was. They're listening to that episode for the first time. They're listening to A Lake of Tears. They're finding out who Dwayne Lovelace was for the first time, or who, The Tears of a Star, who Meryl Baldridge was for the first time. They're finding out who Mamie Thurman, what happened to her in 32 in Logan, West Virginia. They're finding out about the 46 people that died on the Silver Bridge. You know what they say about the internet once it's out there. So we try to use that for a positive influence. We try to use that for something good. Because in the end, if we're not helping each other, then exactly why are we here? Don't get it. Always give back a little more than you took. Probably a good idea. So I've kept you guys on here for a little bit better than 45 minutes. I'm going to step out, let you enjoy your night. Ask you to be safe, be healthy. Use caution. Love each other. And, well, like I like to end these things, all of my love, respect. Thanks for being a part of the Mountain Mysteries family. And until next time, stay mysterious.
From one coast to the other, mysteries are everywhere, and we will continue to pursue the answers to those questions and more. Please share, like, and rate the Mountain Mysteries podcast and tell your friends to tune in on Facebook or YouTube. The Mountain Mysteries gatherings are each Thursday night at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you'd like to support the Mountain Mysteries search and help these families, join us on Patreon, or you can make a one-time donation as well. The Mountain Mysteries and the Mountain Mysteries gatherings are property of the Pantry Studios and Chris Sloan, who writes and produces the content. If you would like to reach out to the Mountain Mysteries, please email us at pantrystudio@yahoo.com. Until next time, my friends, stay mysterious.
A Pantry Studio production.